So the FA Cup doesn't care about your league position, your budget, or your reputation. It cares about who turns up ready to fight. And if you're an Arsenal fan, watching this tie, you're probably feeling two things at the same time. Excitement, because as a club, we know this competition. We've lifted it more than anybody else. And a little bit of tension because we've been on a gauntlet the last couple of games and we just turned over quickly from Brighton. And away ties like this have a habit of being very uncomfortable. And tomorrow, Arsenal are going to walk into a ground where the pitch won't be perfect, the rhythm won't be smooth, and the only thing that matters is focus. And if Arsenal lose that focus, even for a moment, this competition has a habit of punishing you. It's called giant killing competition for a reason. So, welcome back to the Gooner Pavilion, people. And thank you for tuning and thank you for supporting the channel. And if you're new here, welcome to the family. Today, we're going to be looking at the Mansfield versus Arsenal games, early kickoff in the FA Cup fifth round. A game that probably won't be remembered for beautiful football, but it will reveal something about this team. So let's get into it. Now, before we zoom into tactics and lineups, let's remind ourselves about this competition, what it really is. The FA Cup is usually wrapped up in chaos. That is the tradition of this cup. It's the one competition where a League One side can drag a Premier League giant into the dogfight, right? Where the crowd is right on top of you. Some of these stadiums are close, are compact. You can hear the chants of the fans loudly if you're an opposing player. Tackles flying in, and your passing rhythm, your cohesion can disappear. Now, Arsenal know this competition better than anyone, but it's interesting. This is the first time, I think, since we've won it, we've been in the fifth round. So it just tells you what this competition has been for Arsenal. And we are such in a great position this season. We cannot take any competition lightly. We've got to go for it. So you look at all of this FA Cup runs, it is always that one awkward away day. The one where nothing feels comfortable and, where you have to suffer a little bit. And tomorrow could be that game. So there's one thing about this Mansfield team, and that could make this tie far more uncomfortable than people expect. And it's not their league position. It's not their attacking numbers. It's something much simpler than that. We'll come back to that. Now, the form graphic with all the W's here, they're actually FA Cup form only. In the league, Mansfield have been awful. They're 16 in League One, and their recent run, not great. It's just losses, draws. They're struggling for something. So this is not a team that is coming into this competition flying in the table. But here's the interesting part. The FA Cup has almost been like an escape for this team. They've played sharper, more aggressive, more disciplined. Only in the last round they booted out Burnley, after coming from behind and winning with a tremendous free kick. So they treat this competition very, very differently. And when a lower league team decides that the FA Cup is their moment, that's when games like this become really, really uncomfortable. And Arsenal, yeah, We're winning games. We're still managing bodies, right? We're still in four competitions. So it's beginning to take a toll on the players. So you can see that game after game. So we're still trying to bring players back into full sharpness, still rotating the squad. We all have our opinions and, perspectives about what the manager should be doing, how he should be making that rotation. Is it working? Is it not? Um, and the mentality has been strong. The resilience has been there as well. And in games like this, I think this is what's actually going to pull Arsenal through. Now, Arsenal should go into this game with a lot of confidence, and you should ask why. Why should they go into this game with a lot of confidence? The quality that Arsenal has is not deniable, right? You cannot deny that Arsenal have better players against Mansfield. The structure that Arsenal play in, superior. No offense to Mansfield. And of course, the experience. The sort of players that will be going on the pitch for Arsenal have got experience. Even with rotation, Arsenal should have enough to control this game. We've got players who can unlock low blocks, players who can win duels if we need to get scrappy and we need to fight, players that can turn messy moments into moments of clarity. And Arteta doesn't tolerate complacency. I think we all know that. Not in this competition, I would say. So Mansfield, I think, will line up in a 4-2-3-1 system. And the way they use their personnel tells you a lot. They're not really a possession heavy team. They're organized, physical, direct, and they wait for moments, transitions, set pieces, second balls. And that's how they stay in games. The manager has already said that he's going to make this as uncomfortable as possible for Arsenal. So we know what we're going to expect going in there. Now, a closer look at some of these Mansfield players. You got Rice Oates. He's been in Mansfield for a few seasons now. He's not exactly a 20-goal striker, but he's a constant problem. He runs the channel, presses defenders, feeds off chaos. And in FA Cup ties, players like this are really, really dangerous. Then you've got Lucas Atkins. He's been around the EFL for years, stint at Burton, Tranmere, and now Mansfield, and he's played pretty much every position, on the pitch, and he's gonna have experience to kind of pull the rest of the players in this game. And he knows how to make the game very, very physical. So gonna spare a lot of physicality from Atkins, tackles, duels. We've got to be up for the fight for this one. Lewis Reed is more of the organizer, likes to sit deep, keeps them compact, keeps them disciplined. He's not going to do one of those split passing, pass, cutting Arsenal open, but he will sure make Mansfield stay organized in this game. And then Blake Tracy, he likes to win duels. He's aggressive, committed. He's probably the one that's going to get that tackle in first and let the crowd go up, right? So these are the players that are going to make this FA Cup really, really uncomfortable for Arsenal. Now, actually, there's something about this tie that I've been thinking about. Because on paper, Arsenal should control this game comfortably, right? I think you will agree with that. Most people would agree with that. But FA Cup matches like this aren't usually decided by tactics alone. And there is one decision Arteta could make with the starting lineup that completely changes how this game plays out. We'll come back and talk about that when we talk about Arsenal selection. I just want to talk a little bit about the fact that we've got quite a lot of injuries. We've got players that haven't really featured a lot, and you might be thinking about rust, match fitness, players that are coming back, and then there's the Jesus versus the Havertz question. Now, Havertz didn't look ready to start and go 90 against Brighton. You could see that, right? When he came in, he wasn't as sharp. The sharpness wasn't really there. And earlier I mentioned that there's one selection decision that could shape this game. And this is it. It's Jesus versus Havertz. Who is Arteta going to trust to start this game? Now, I think Jesus might actually start this one and to build rhythm. And those two profiles are very, very different. You've got Jesus with all his movement, his trickery, pressing, causing a little bit of havoc there. And then you've got Havertz, who gives you structure, very intelligent player, can drop into the hole, can hold up play, can link play as well. Think of Havertz, think about control, silky. So Arteta's got a decision that he needs to make. I think the key to this game is really, really simple. Arsenal has to control the chaos because that's what Mansfield are going to want to make this game do. They want to descend this game into their level. Let it be a scrap, right? Because remember I said earlier on that, Mansfield could make this very uncomfortable. This is it, right? This is where they can really make this game very, very chaotic because they're going to thrive on just denying Arsenal, sweet passing movement, settling, and all of that. When second balls, come, you're going to see Mansfield players come alive. They're going to try and break the structure down. And that's the environment that they want. So if Arsenal can control the chaos, I think this game becomes more straightforward. Now, from an Arsenal perspective, a likely lineup will probably look like this. You've got Kepa in goal, got Lewis Kelly, Calafiori, Mosquera, Timber. I think that right hand side is where there's always a little bit, of doubt. Now, Mikel Arteta could decide to bring Kapi in, but Kapi has played a lot of games. And so I think that he might actually sit out this game. But it does beg the question about Lewis Kelly, because Lewis Kelly has always been the Champions League player. So I don't know if he plays this game and then also plays against Bayern Leverkusen in the midweek. But in the middle of the pack, you're going to have Norgard. Eze is going to play Madueke, Martinelli, and Jesus. Now, could we see Max Dorman, come into this game? He already played for the under-21, and maybe this game was one that Arsenal was targeting to try and get in him because maybe he plays for 60 minutes and come off, in this game. This might be the game that Arsenal might want to start in him. And obviously, there is the stuff about Havertz as well because of his fitness, but I think that Jesus feels slightly more likely in this game. I'm going to go for a 2-0 to Arsenal in this game. Nothing glamorous, nothing explosive, just slow possession, control the game, just professional, just professional. And guys, that's it. That's a quick one. Mansfield versus Arsenal. Like I said, it's not going to be a game about beauty. It's just going to be about mentality. So if you enjoyed this breakdown, guys, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button as well, and drop your score prediction in the comments. And of course, we'll be back to look at the post-game reaction on that. And let's see Arsenal do it. Let's get behind the team. I'll see you in the next one.